Yes, good evening, everyone, obviously. So I represent Boston More in Common, which is mostly a Facebook group for the last year because running events has been almost impossible. And on the Facebook group, we've got around about 3,000 people, and they come from various communities. So they come from Latvia, they come from Russia, they come from Polish. So it's a really interracial group. And I suppose part of my question was coming from the confusion as to why, this is a world kind of event and there's somewhere like 300 different places that are trying to create a vaccine. Certainly 85 are in testing. And to me, it seems like once you've successfully got one vaccine, it should be just spread through. So the question is, how many kind of different forms of vaccination are currently being used around the world? And what are the differences in the makeup between our two that we use currently in UK?
Okay, Professor Van Tam.
Yeah, thanks for the question. The two vaccines we've got in the UK at the moment are the Pfizer vaccine and the Oxford AstraZeneca. The Pfizer vaccine is a new technology vaccine using messenger RNA, and it's basically a direct injection of messenger RNA, which is coded so that when it goes into your muscle and your deltoid, it tricks your muscle cells to make that messenger RNA codes for the spike protein on the coronavirus, and you make locally in the muscle some spike protein from the coronavirus, and your body then recognizes it, the immune response happens, and you get antibodies to it. So that's the messenger RNA technology. The Moderna vaccine is going to be exactly the same technology. And there are various other messenger RNA products that are coming through, some of which the UK has invested in, and we should get those products in the fullness of time, sometime later this year, I'm imagining. The Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine is a different technology. It's called an adenovirus vector. And what you do with an adenovirus vector, and it's the same as the Janssen vaccine, which we hope to have towards the summer, and it's the same as the Russian Sputnik vaccine as well, and it's the same as some of the Chinese vaccines. And basically, you use an adenovirus, which is a harmless virus for humans. You genetically modify it so that it cannot multiply, and then you put a piece of DNA into the adenovirus, and that piece of DNA also codes for the spike protein on the coronavirus. And once that gets into your muscle cells again, it's the same final pathway. You produce the spike protein and the body recognizes it and you get an immune response. So in this case, really the adenovirus is like a taxi, and the coding that we need to make the spike protein is just hitching a lift inside the body on the adenovirus. And that's how that one works. And that's the technology that we used to get the Ebola vaccine. Now, there are some more coming through, and the big ones coming through are what we call protein subunit, which is basically all the spike protein from the outside of the coronavirus kind of sloughed off and put into a vaccine. So instead of you creating the spike protein, you're injecting it directly, usually with an adjuvant, something that makes the immune response a bit stronger. And those vaccines are coming. The leading candidate is Novavax, but they're not quite ready yet. And then finally, and further down the kind of timing, are the whole virus inactivated vaccines, which is basically the whole coronavirus smashed up into bits and killed and then turned into a vaccine. And that's quite an old-fashioned technology, but it might in the end be better and might in the end give broader protection against the variant viruses that we know are coming along, you know, the Brazils, the South Africas and so forth. Because with that vaccine, you don't just get the spike protein on the outside of the virus, you get all the bits inside as well. So the immune response you create is perhaps a bit broader in the end and a bit more long lasting. But those vaccines are not available yet. But we've invested in all of the technologies I've told you about, and we should have, in the end, access to, if they all come through, and they may not all come through, 357 million doses of vaccine. So choices, and we may need them. We may have to revaccinate in the autumn.
Okay.